My beloved seeker, this message did not arrive by accident, and neither did you. January 5th carries a frequency that presses gently yet firmly against your spirit, asking you to stop, to breathe, and to look again at the road beneath your feet. You have been walking it for some time now, believing you understood where it led. But today, Archangel Michael steps forward to highlight one single detail, small in appearance, massive in consequence, that will forever change how you see your current path. Listen carefully. This is not about fear. This is not about urgency that creates panic. This is about divine timing aligning so precisely that ignoring it would be like walking past an open door you prayed for in silence. The reason you felt a pause in your spirit, the reason your heart slowed for just a moment when you saw this message, is because heaven marked this exact window for you. Archangel Michael speaks now with clarity and calm authority. He says the path you are on is not wrong, but it is incomplete without awareness. There is a detail you overlooked, not because you were careless, but because you were protected from seeing it too early. If you had known then what you are about to know now, you might have rushed, forced, or turned back in doubt. Divine wisdom withheld it until your spirit matured enough to carry the truth without breaking. January 5th is not a random date. It is a spiritual checkpoint. You are standing between what was familiar and what is forming. Up until now, you have measured progress by visible signs, movement, results, validation, speed. But Archangel Michael highlights something subtler: the alignment of your inner decisions. There is a choice you made recently, quietly, perhaps even unconsciously, that altered the direction of your future more than any external action ever could. You thought it was small. Heaven says it was pivotal. This detail has to do with what you tolerated, not what you chased, not what you dreamed, what you allowed to remain around you: habits, conversations, expectations, or even your own inner voice. Archangel Michael reveals that your path began to shift the moment you stopped arguing with your intuition and started listening, even when it cost you comfort. You feel that resonance, that subtle confirmation in your chest. That is not imagination. That is recognition. Many believe divine messages arrive with thunder and spectacle, but this one comes like a whisper that rearranges everything. Archangel Michael says you are being asked to see your path not as a straight line, but as a living thing, responding to your awareness. When you grow, it grows. When you hesitate, it pauses. When you trust, it opens. The reason this message appears now is because a misinterpretation has been quietly influencing your next steps. You assumed delay meant denial. You assumed resistance meant opposition. But the detail being highlighted today is this: the delay was a refinement, and the resistance was redirection. Nothing has been wasted. Not the confusion, not the waiting, not the nights you questioned whether you were still aligned. Archangel Michael stands as a guardian at thresholds, and today he points to a threshold you are already standing on. The next phase of your path does not require more effort. It requires clearer sight. You are not being asked to run faster. You are being asked to see truer. There is also a warning wrapped in grace. If you continue forward without integrating this awareness, you will feel like you are pushing against invisible weight. Not because the path is blocked, but because your understanding is outdated. Heaven updates instructions in seasons, and January 5th is an update day for you. This is why you were guided here instead of somewhere else. This is why distractions tried to pull your attention away before you opened this message. This is why something inside you said, "Wait." Read this slowly. Archangel Michael emphasizes that your current path is sacred. but only if walked consciously. You are being invited to release an old narrative about who you need to be to arrive. The new path honors who you already are becoming. This shift may feel subtle today, but in the coming days, you will notice decisions becoming easier, clarity replacing pressure, and peace following choices that once felt heavy. Do not rush to explain this to others. This message is first for your spirit, not for discussion. Let it settle. Let it adjust your vision. Let it change how you interpret signs, delays, and doors that seem half open. January 5th marks the moment you stop walking on autopilot and begin walking with awareness. Archangel Michael assures you, you are protected as you recalibrate. No force is allowed to confuse you beyond this point unless you choose confusion over clarity. Pause. Open. Receive this fully. Beloved one, as this message continues to unfold, Archangel Michael asks you to stay present, not with tension, but with openness. What was revealed earlier was only the surface layer. Now, the focus shifts from what changed on your path to why it had to be revealed exactly now. Timing is everything in the spiritual realm, and this moment carries intention layered upon intention. You may have noticed recently that things which once motivated you no longer hold the same power. Goals you chased relentlessly now feel quieter. Certain ambitions softened, while others suddenly became non-negotiable. This is not confusion. This is calibration. Archangel Michael reveals that your spirit outgrew an old definition of success, but your mind has been catching up slowly. That gap created tension, and heaven stepped in before that tension turned into self-doubt. The highlighted detail on your path is not an obstacle. It is a signal. A signal that you are no longer meant to move based on urgency, comparison, or borrowed timelines. You are entering a phase where discernment outweighs speed, where alignment matters more than applause, and where peace becomes the primary confirmation that you are walking correctly. Here is what many never realize. When God prepares to elevate someone, clarity often arrives before comfort. The clarity you are receiving now may feel unsettling because it asks you to release familiar struggles. Yes, struggles can become familiar. Even pain can feel safer than the unknown. Archangel Michael gently but firmly exposes this truth so you do not mistake familiarity for destiny. Here is also something else being addressed. A pattern. You have been strong for a long time, perhaps longer than anyone truly knows. You learned how to carry responsibility, how to show up, how to push through without complaint. But Archangel Michael says the next stretch of your path cannot be walked with the same survival-based strength. It requires trust-based strength, the kind that rests when instructed, moves when guided, and waits without panic. This is why January 5th mattered. It marked the end of self-driven endurance and the beginning of divinely guided momentum. You are not losing discipline. You are gaining precision. You are not becoming passive. You are becoming aligned. Pay attention in the coming days to subtle invitations. A conversation that repeats itself. A thought that returns gently, not forcefully. An opportunity that feels calm instead of exciting. These are not coincidences. These are confirmations. Archangel Michael is training your awareness to recognize what is right, not just what is available. Now hear this clearly. Not everyone will understand this shift. Some may think you are slowing down. Others may think you are changing too much. But heaven is not asking for consensus. Heaven is asking for obedience. The path ahead requires fewer explanations and deeper conviction. This is also the moment to acknowledge your role in spreading clarity. If this message resonates, it is not meant to stay locked inside you. Light multiplies when shared. If this is speaking to your spirit, let your action reflect it. Like this video so the message reaches others who are standing at the same invisible crossroads. Share it with someone who hath been questioning their direction in silence. Leave a comment, not for algorithms alone, but as a declaration that you are choosing awareness over autopilot. And if you have not yet subscribed, do so now, because what is coming next builds directly on what your spirit is already receiving. Joining this space is not about content, it is about continuity. Archangel Michael also brings a gentle caution. Do not rush to fix everything now that you see more clearly. Revelation is meant to guide movement, not force it. Let the insight settle before you act. The right steps will feel grounded, not frantic. You will recognize them by the peace that accompanies them. You may feel a quiet confidence returning. Not loud, not dramatic, just steady. That is alignment restoring itself. And once alignment is restored, progress accelerates naturally. No pushing, no proving, no burning out. There is more unfolding, layers that connect this awareness to what is about to open in your external life. This is where many miss the blessing because they disengage too early. Hold on, because what follows ties everything together in a way you may not expect, and it will shift how you interpret signs from this point forward. My precious one, now the message deepens, because awareness alone is not the destination. Awareness is the doorway. Archangel Michael now draws your attention inward, to the place where this new clarity must take root. What you are experiencing is not merely understanding, it is repositioning. Heaven is not adjusting your circumstances yet. It is adjusting you, because once the inner shift locks in, the outer world has no choice but to respond. There hath been a quiet internal conflict you have not fully named, a tension between who you have been required to be and who you are now permitted to become. You learned to survive by adapting, by pleasing, by carrying weight that was never meant to be permanent. Archangel Michael reveals that this survival identity served its purpose, but it cannot escort you into the next season. That is the detail that changes how you see your path. You are not behind. You were being trained under pressure, and now the pressure is lifting. This explains why certain emotional reactions have changed. Things that once triggered anxiety now only cause mild discomfort. Situations that once demanded your immediate response now feel optional. This is not apathy. This is authority returning to your spirit. You are no longer ruled by urgency. You are guided by discernment. Archangel Michael speaks gently but clearly. Do not mistake calm for stagnation. Calm is evidence that you are finally walking at the pace of your soul instead of the pace of fear. When fear led, everything felt rushed. When alignment leads, everything feels intentional. There is also a release happening now. An old agreement is dissolving, an agreement that said you must struggle to deserve progress, that growth must be exhausting to be real. Heaven is canceling that belief. You are allowed to move forward without proving your pain. You are allowed to receive without justifying why. January 5th marked the spiritual expiration date of that old contract. You may notice memories resurfacing, moments when you compromised, stayed silent, or chose peace over truth. Do not judge yourself for them. Those memories are not accusations. They are confirmations. They are showing you how far you have come and how differently you now stand. Archangel Michael says awareness transforms memory into wisdom. Another layer is being revealed now. Your path is no longer just about you. The clarity you carry is meant to stabilize others. That does not mean carrying their burdens again. It means modeling what alignment looks like. You are becoming a reference point, a quiet example of someone who chose truth over speed, peace over pressure. This is why distractions tried to pull you away before this message completed. The enemy of clarity is interruption. But you stayed, and that matters. Archangel Michael now seals this part of the message with reassurance. Nothing ahead will require you to betray yourself. Doors that demand self-abandonment will not be from God. Opportunities that cost your peace will expose themselves quickly. Your discernment is sharp now. Trust it. As this truth anchors, there is a response being asked of you, not action yet, but declaration. A willingness to receive what is already reaching for you. If this message is aligning with your spirit, mark this moment. Type "I receive the alignment" in the comments if this is speaking to your spirit. Blessing code 818 has just been released. As this message reaches you, it is also reaching others who are standing at unseen crossroads, waiting for confirmation they cannot explain. When you choose to support this mission, you are not supporting a channel. You are sowing light into places where confusion had been winning for too long. I hear the Lord say, "Those who water will themselves be watered," and this word is alive right now, breathing through this very moment. I am speaking to those whose hearts burn when truth is spoken. If this message has clarified your path, then your response becomes part of the harvest. When you release a super thanks, when you step into membership, or when you give through PayPal using the link in the description, you are answering a divine nudge, not making a donation. This is seed meeting soil. This is oil being poured so the flame does not go out. The same God who is realigning your steps promises that what you release in obedience will return multiplied in peace, clarity, and provision. Do not hesitate when the prompting comes. Move while the heavens are open. Support this work now, and let your giving speak in realms your voice cannot reach. There is still more to be revealed, and what unfolds next connects this inner shift to what is about to manifest outwardly. Beloved soul, as the message continues, Archangel Michael now turns your attention to what happens after alignment settles. Many people believe clarity immediately produces visible change, but heaven often works in layers. First comes awareness, then comes stability. Only after that does manifestation take form. You are currently in the stability phase, and understanding this will prevent you from misreading the silence around you. Right now, things may feel quieter than expected. Not empty, just still. This stillness is intentional. Archangel Michael explains that when God recalibrates a path, there is always a pause where nothing dramatic seems to happen. This pause is not delay, it is reinforcement. It is where your new perspective hardens into conviction so it cannot be shaken later by pressure, opinions, or unexpected turns. You are learning how to stand without leaning on old coping mechanisms. Before, you may have relied on overthinking, overworking, or over-explaining to feel secure. Now, those impulses feel unnecessary, even exhausting. That is because your spirit is no longer fighting for position. It has been granted one. Authority feels quiet when it is genuine. There is also something being removed gently, but firmly. The need to constantly check if you are doing enough. Archangel Michael reveals that this question was never about productivity, it was about worth. And worth is not something you earn through motion. It is something you carry through alignment. As this truth integrates, you may find yourself doing less, yet accomplishing more. That is not coincidence. That is efficiency born from clarity. Pay attention to how your body responds in this season. Rest comes easier. Sleep feels deeper. Certain worries no longer hook into your thoughts the way they used to. These are signs that your nervous system is catching up with your spiritual reality. When alignment occurs in the spirit, the body eventually follows. However, there is also a test hidden within this calm. Archangel Michael warns gently, do not confuse peace with permission to disengage. Stillness is not withdrawal. It is preparation. There will soon be invitations that require you to move from this grounded place, and how you respond will determine the shape of what unfolds next. You may already sense it, a subtle anticipation without anxiety, a knowing that something is forming, even if you cannot name it yet. That is because the next phase of your path will not announce itself loudly. It will present itself naturally, almost casually, and only someone walking in awareness will recognize its significance. This is why discernment was sharpened first. Another important shift is happening in how you perceive time. You are no longer racing against it. Instead, time feels like it is cooperating with you. Deadlines feel less threatening. The future feels less intimidating. Archangel Michael says this is because you are no longer trying to control outcomes. You are learning to partner with process. There is also healing happening around trust. Not blind trust, but grounded trust. Trust that if something leaves, it is not punishment. Trust that if something does not accelerate, it is not rejection. Trust that God is not withholding from you. He is sequencing things for maximum impact. The season will reveal who respects your boundaries and who benefited from your lack of them. Do not be surprised if certain dynamics shift without confrontation. Alignment naturally rearranges relationships. What no longer fits will quietly fall away. What belongs will remain without effort. Archangel Michael reassures you that you are not losing connections, you are refining them. Depth is replacing noise, and peace is replacing performance. You may feel moments where the old urgency tries to resurface. When it does, pause. That urge is not intuition, it is habit. You do not need to chase what is already aligning itself toward you. What is meant for you recognizes your pace now. The next development on your path will require courage, but not the exhausting kind. It will require the courage to say yes without overthinking and the courage to say no without guilt. This balance is new for you, but it is essential. Archangel Michael ends this portion of the message with a reminder. Clarity is not something you receive once. It is something you maintain. Protect it. Guard what you allow into your mind and spirit in this season. Not everything deserves your attention anymore. What is coming next connects this inner stability to a decisive moment ahead, one that will feel ordinary on the surface but will carry lasting consequences beneath it. Stay present, because this is where awareness turns into destiny. Beloved one, the message now moves into a more delicate territory, because what Archangel Michael reveals next is not about what you will do, but about what you will recognize. Destiny rarely arrives dressed as destiny. Most often, it shows up disguised as an ordinary decision, a subtle invitation, or a quiet inner nudge that feels easy to dismiss. This is why awareness was sharpened first, because what is approaching you requires perception more than preparation. Very soon, you will encounter a moment that feels deceptively simple. It may look like a routine conversation, a small opportunity, a change in schedule, or an unexpected pause that alters your plans. Nothing about it will scream importance. Yet Archangel Michael emphasizes that this moment will act as a hinge. How you respond will quietly redirect the next stretch of your path. In the past, you might have reacted automatically, saying yes out of obligation, saying no out of fear, overthinking until the moment passed. But this time, something will be different. You will feel a brief stillness before responding, a sense of internal alignment checking in before your words or actions move forward. That pause is sacred. That pause is where heaven speaks. This is why the earlier urgency had to be dismantled. Urgency would have rushed you past this moment. Fear would have distorted it. But clarity allows you to meet it fully present. Archangel Michael also reveals that this moment is connected to a long-standing prayer you stopped actively praying because you assumed it had been answered in another way, or not at all. Heaven did not forget. It was waiting until you could receive the answer without attaching old expectations to it. What arrives may not look like what you imagined years ago, but it will carry the same essence. Do not be surprised if the invitation feels gentle instead of exciting. Many people miss divine openings because they are waiting for adrenaline instead of peace. But peace is the confirmation now. If it feels grounded, steady, and quietly right, that is your sign. There is also a layer of responsibility being introduced. With greater clarity comes greater influence, not control, impact. Your words will begin to carry more weight. Your choices will ripple further than before. This is why Archangel Michael urges you to remain intentional, especially in moments that seem inconsequential. Another shift you may notice is how quickly you recover from emotional disruptions. Something that once would have unsettled you for days may now pass through in hours, even minutes. This is not avoidance. This is resilience rooted in alignment. You are no longer internalizing everything as personal or permanent. However, be mindful of one subtle trap: nostalgia. There may be moments where the mind romanticizes past versions of yourself or earlier seasons because they feel familiar. Archangel Michael cautions that familiarity does not equal alignment. You are not meant to go backward to retrieve anything. Everything you need has already moved forward with you. As this next phase unfolds, you may also feel a growing desire to simplify. Fewer explanations, clearer intentions, clear priorities. This is not withdrawal, it is refinement. Complexity fades when truth becomes central. You are also being taught how to trust your no as much as your yes. In the past, you may have overextended yourself to keep peace or maintain connection. Now, restraint becomes an act of wisdom. Declining what is misaligned makes room for what is meant to arrive. Archangel Michael reassures you that nothing meant for you will require you to abandon your values, your rest, or your sense of self. If something pressures you to rush, hide, or compromise clarity, it is not part of this path. There is a quiet confidence growing in you now. Not loud enough to announce itself, but strong enough to guide your steps. This confidence does not come from knowing everything ahead. It comes from trusting the guidance you have learned to recognize. As you move through the coming days, stay observant without becoming hypervigilant. Awareness does not mean strain. It means presence. Let things reveal themselves naturally. You do not need to search for signs. They will meet you where you are. Archangel Michael closes this portion of the message with reassurance that you are not late, you are not behind, and you are not misaligned. You are precisely where preparation meets opportunity. What unfolds next will confirm what your spirit already senses, that this path, now seen clearly, is leading you somewhere truer than you expected. Remain steady. Remain open. The unfolding has already begun. Beloved soul, as this message advances, Archangel Michael now speaks about momentum, not the rushed kind, but the kind that builds quietly beneath the surface until movement becomes inevitable. You are entering a stretch where things begin to respond to you differently. Not because you are trying harder, but because you are moving from alignment instead of effort. This distinction changes everything. You may notice that resistance no longer feels personal. Delays no longer feel like rejection. Even when something does not work out, it does not shake you the way it once did. This is not emotional numbness. This is emotional maturity. You are no longer interpreting every outcome as a verdict on your worth or your future. Archangel Michael says this emotional steadiness is one of the clearest signs that your path has stabilized. There is also a new sensitivity developing, not to chaos, but to truth. You will begin to sense very quickly when something is slightly off. A tone in a conversation, an energy in a room, an inner hesitation that asks you to slow down. This is discernment refining itself. You not override it out of politeness or pressure. Your spirit is no longer guessing, it is recognizing. This season will reward honesty, especially the quiet kind. Honest rest, honest boundaries, honest intentions. You are being asked to stop negotiating with things that drain you just because they are familiar. Archangel Michael makes it clear that familiarity is no longer a valid reason to stay misaligned. Something else is shifting now, your relationship with control. You are learning the difference between responsibility and over-responsibility. Some outcomes you carried were never yours to manage. As you release them, you may feel lighter and slightly disoriented at first. A disorientation is simply the absence of unnecessary weight. Your spirit will adjust quickly. You may also find that your prayers are changing. Fewer words, more trust, less explaining, more listening. This is not distance from God. It is intimacy. When you know you are heard, you do not shout. You speak simply, and you wait expectantly. Archangel Michael highlights that this is also a season of visibility, but not the kind you force. The right people will begin to notice you without you positioning yourself to be seen. The right opportunities will surface without you chasing them. This is what happens when alignment creates resonance. What belongs to you can finally recognize you. Be aware, though, that clarity can be unsettling to those who benefited from your confusion. As you become more grounded, some dynamics may feel strained. Not because you are doing something wrong, but because you are no longer playing an old role. You are not responsible for maintaining comfort that requires your self-betrayal. There is a strength emerging in you that feels calm, not confrontational. You will say less but mean more. You will explain less but stand firmer. This is not withdrawal. It is authority settling in. Now, this is important. Messages like this reach people at precise moments for a reason. If this is resonating, it is because your spirit is already engaged in the process being described. And if you feel a pull to stay connected, to continue receiving clarity as it unfolds, act on that instinct. Like this video, so the message continues to travel where it is needed. Share it with someone who may not have the language for what they are feeling yet. Leave a comment, not just as engagement, but as a marker that you were present when this word met you. And if you have not subscribed or joined the membership yet, now is the time. Staying connected here is about remaining in alignment with what is being released, not missing what builds on this foundation. Archangel Michael also offers a gentle reminder. You not disengage just because things feel stable. Stability is not the end. It is the platform. What follows will require your awareness to stay active. Trust me, what is about to unfold will make everything you have received so far feel essential, not optional. You will want to remain attentive as this message continues. There is a quiet invitation approaching, one that will test whether you trust clarity more than comfort. It will not come with pressure, but it will come with consequence. Not punishment, direction. Your response will reveal how fully you have integrated what you now see. You are no longer being trained to survive the path. You are being prepared to steward it. It means walking with intention, listening before reacting, and choosing alignment even when no one is watching. Archangel Michael closes this portion with reassurance. You are not alone in this recalibration. Protection surrounds your decisions. Wisdom accompanies your steps. And nothing meant to confuse you will be allowed to linger if you remain honest with yourself. Stay present. Stay grounded. What unfolds next will connect this inner momentum to an external shift you may not yet see coming, but once it arrives, you will recognize it instantly. Beloved one, the message now turns toward preparation of the heart, because what is approaching next is not dramatic in appearance, but decisive in impact. Archangel Michael reveals that the coming shift will test not your strength, but your consistency. You have learned how to rise in moments of pressure. Now you are learning how to remain steady when things begin to align. Many people can endure chaos. Far fewer know how to steward calm. When life becomes quieter, the mind sometimes searches for problems out of habit. Archangel Michael cautions you not to create urgency where none exists. The stillness you are experiencing is not emptiness, it is space. Space for clarity to deepen, for wisdom to integrate, and for direction to become unmistakable. In this season, the enemy is not fear but distraction. Small interruptions, minor doubts, subtle pulls back into old thought patterns that question whether things are truly changing. Archangel Michael makes it clear, transformation does not always feel like motion. Sometimes it feels like stability, and stability can feel unfamiliar when you have lived in constant adaptation. You may notice a desire to protect your energy more intentionally. Certain conversations feel unnecessary. Certain environments feel loud even when nothing is being said. This is not judgment. This is discernment. Your spirit is learning what it can no longer carry without consequence. Honor that awareness without apology. There is also a deeper layer of trust being built between you and God. A trust based on agam, but trust based on presence. Even when you do not see immediate confirmation, you feel anchored. That anchoring is evidence that your faith has matured. You are no longer asking for constant reassurance because you have learned to recognize the tone of divine guidance within you. Archangel Michael now speaks about timing again, because something will soon require you to respond without overanalyzing. The response will not be rushed, but it will be clear. You will not need external validation. You will simply know. That knowing will feel calm, not emotional. Certain, not dramatic. This is why clarity was built slowly. Sudden revelation can overwhelm. Gradual revelation strengthens. Be mindful in this period of how you speak about your path. Words have weight now. Speaking doubt casually can undermine confidence quietly. Speaking alignment reinforces it. You do not need to declare everything publicly, but be intentional privately. What you affirm repeatedly begins to solidify. There may also be moments where you feel slightly out of place, no longer fitting where you once did, but not fully visible in what is coming. This in-between space is sacred. Do not rush to define it. Archangel Michael says this is where identity recalibrates without pressure, where you learn who you are without labels. You are also being shown how to release expectations about how your progress should look. Comparison is losing its grip. Other people's timelines no longer intimidate you the way they once did. This is because your spirit understands something your mind is still integrating. Alignment cannot be rushed without distortion. Another shift is happening in how you process disappointment. Instead of spiraling, you observe. Instead of internalizing, you assess. This is not emotional distance, it is wisdom. You are learning to respond instead of react. Archangel Michael highlights that the next phase of your path will require collaboration, but not compromise. You will be invited to connect with others who respect your boundaries and recognize your clarity. These connections will feel mutual, not draining. Balanced, not one-sided. Pay attention to how interactions leave you feeling afterward. That is your compass. You may also feel a renewed sense of purpose emerging, not tied to achievement, but to alignment. You are beginning to understand that purpose is not always about doing more. Sometimes it is about doing differently, with intention, with awareness, with peace. This season will not demand perfection. It will require honesty. When you are unsure, pause. When you feel pressured, wait. When something aligns, move. Simplicity is becoming your guide. Archangel Michael reassures you that nothing unfolding now is accidental. Every layer has been intentional. Every pose has served a purpose, and every insight has prepared you for what is next. There is one more thing to understand before the next unfolding. You are no longer being shaped for survival or recovery. You are being shaped for stewardship. Stewardship of clarity. Stewardship of peace. Stewardship of the path entrusted to you. Remain attentive. Remain grounded. What comes next will reveal how all of this begins to express itself outwardly, in ways that feel natural yet unmistakably guided. Beloved soul, now the message reaches a turning point, because what Archangel Michael reveals here connects everything you have sensed internally with what is about to move externally. Up until now, the work has been largely unseen, clarity forming, stability anchoring, discernment sharpening. But from this point forward, the effects of that inner alignment will begin to touch your visible life in subtle yet undeniable ways. Archangel Michael speaks of permission. Not permission from people, systems, or circumstances, but permission within yourself. There has been a quiet hesitation you did not fully recognize, a subtle waiting for reassurance before fully stepping into what you already sensed was right. That waiting is ending, not because everything is suddenly certain, but because you are now strong enough to move without guarantees. This is where trust matures. You will soon notice that decisions feel less emotionally charged. Where there was once anxiety, there is now neutrality. Where there was once pressure, there is now choice. This does not mean the decisions are smaller. It means you are larger. Your capacity has expanded. What once felt heavy now feels manageable, not because the weight changed, but because your strength did. Archangel Michael highlights that one of the most important shifts happening now is how you relate to outcomes. You are learning to release attachment without losing intention. You still care, but you are no longer consumed. This balance is rare, and it is powerful. It allows you to act with excellence without being ruled by fear of loss. There may be a moment soon where you realize something you once deeply wanted no longer has emotional control over you. That realization may surprise you. It may even bring a brief sense of grief, not because you lost the desire, but because you recognize how much energy it once held. Let that grief pass gently. It is not loss. It is freedom. You are also becoming more selective with your attention. Not everything deserves your response anymore. Not every question needs an answer. Not every invitation needs consideration. This is not arrogance, it is stewardship. Attention is currency in the spiritual realm, and you are learning to invest it wisely. Archangel Michael reassures you that the quiet confidence forming now will soon be noticed, not loudly, not dramatically, but respectfully. People will sense your groundedness. Opportunities will align without force. Conversations will open without manipulation. This is the fruit of alignment. Be mindful, However, of one thing, do not downplay what you carry. Humility does not require self-minimization. You can remain grounded without shrinking. Archangel Michael encourages you to stand fully in what you have become, without apology and without performance. As this integration deepens, there will be moments where old fears try to resurface, asking, "What if this doesn't last?" When that thought arises, recognize it for what it is, a leftover echo, not a prophecy. You are not returning to instability. You are learning how to maintain peace. This is also a season where obedience looks quiet. Not every step will be visible. Not every decision will make sense to others. That is fine. Alignment does not need witnesses to be valid. Archangel Michael now invites you to mark this moment spiritually. If you feel this message has clarified something deep within you, respond, not out of obligation, but out of recognition. Type "I step forward in peace" in the comments if this resonates with your spirit. Blessing code 1440 has just been activated. What you are receiving here is not just for you. It is part of a larger movement of clarity being released into lives that have been walking with questions but lacked language. When you choose to support this work, you become a carrier of that light. This is not about sustaining a channel. It is about sustaining a river. I hear the word declaring, "Those who sow in season will reap in clarity," and this is that season. I am speaking directly to those who feel stirred right now. This is your invitation. When you release a super thanks, when you step into membership, or when you give through PayPal using the link in the description, you are responding to a divine moment, not a request. You are placing seed into soil that is already producing fruit. What you release in obedience will return to you in discernment, peace, and divine order. Do not delay when the prompting is clear. Move now. Support this mission, and let your giving become part of what God is unfolding in this hour. Remain present, because what unfolds next will bring a deeper understanding of how this clarity reshapes your future decisions in ways you may not yet anticipate. Beloved one, as this message continues, Archangel Michael now brings your attention to the subtle recalibration of your future vision. Something important is shifting in how you imagine what comes next. Before, your vision may have been shaped by urgency, by what needed fixing, by what felt missing. And now, your vision is becoming quieter, cleaner, and more precise. This is not a loss of ambition. It is a refinement of direction. You are beginning to sense that the future does not need to be forced into clarity all at once. Instead of demanding full answers, you are learning to trust progressive revelation. Archangel Michael says this is a sign of spiritual maturity. When you no longer need the entire map before taking the next step, you are finally ready to move freely. There is a deep internal shift happening around expectations. You are releasing the need for things to arrive in a specific form. This does not mean you have lowered standards. It means you have elevated discernment. You are more interested in what aligns than in what impresses, more focused on what sustains than what excites temporarily. This season will challenge old fantasies gently, not by taking them away, but by showing you better alternatives. You may realize that what you once thought was your dream was actually a placeholder for something truer. Archangel Michael assures you that nothing is being taken from you. Everything is being clarified. You may notice a growing sense of patience that feels unfamiliar. Situations that once triggered impulsive decisions now invite thoughtful pauses. You are not delaying action out of fear. You are choosing timing out of wisdom. This patience is not passive. It is active trust. There is also a healing happening around regret. Moments you once replayed with self-judgment are losing their emotional charge. You are beginning to see them as necessary steps rather than mistakes. Archangel Michael says regret dissolves when purpose becomes clear. You could not have arrived here without passing through there. As your vision refines, your tolerance for misalignment decreases. You are less willing to compromise on values, even in small ways. This is not rigidity, it is integrity strengthening. You are learning that alignment is maintained through daily choices, not dramatic declarations. Another shift you may notice is how you respond to uncertainty. Instead of anxiety, there is curiosity. Instead of dread, there is openness. This does not mean uncertainty disappears. It means it no longer controls you. You are learning to coexist with the unknown without fear. Archangel Michael highlights that this phase of your path is about consolidation. You are integrating everything you have learned into a coherent inner framework. Beliefs are aligning with behavior. Values are aligning with choices. And vision is aligning with identity. This integration may feel subtle, but it is powerful. It is what prevents future confusion. When clarity is integrated, it cannot be easily shaken by external noise or internal doubt. You are becoming internally consistent, and that consistency will soon reflect externally. Be attentive to how you speak about the future in this season. Not because words magically create outcomes, but because they reveal alignment. When your language becomes calmer, more grounded, and less defensive, it signals that trust has taken root. There may be moments where others project their fears onto your path. They may question your pace, your choices where you're calm. Archangel Michael advises you not to absorb these projections. Their questions are not indicators of your misalignment. They are reflections of their own uncertainty. You are also learning the difference between intuition and impulse. Intuition feels steady. Impulse feels urgent. Intuition invites patience. Impulse demands immediacy. This discernment will serve you well in the next phase, where decisions will carry long-term impact. Another important revelation unfolds here. You are no longer meant to define success the way you once did. Success is becoming less about arrival and more about alignment. Less about outcome and more about sustainability. This shift will protect you from burnout and disappointment. Archangel Michael reassures you that the clarity you now carry is not fragile. It does not depend on perfect conditions. It is resilient because it is rooted in truth. Even when circumstances fluctuate, your inner compass remains steady. You may feel moments of gratitude arise unexpectedly, not tied to specific achievements, but to presence itself. This gratitude is not complacency. It is contentment without stagnation. You are learning to appreciate where you are while still moving forward. As this part of the message closes, know this: your future is not vague. It is simply unfolding at the right pace. You do not need to chase it. You need to stay aligned with it. Everything ahead is responding to who you are becoming, not who you used to be. Remain attentive. Remain grounded. What comes next will invite you to actively participate in this unfolding with renewed clarity and confidence. Beloved soul, Archangel Michael now draws your attention to engagement, not with noise, but with intention. This phase of your journey is about conscious participation. Up until now, much of the work has been internal, unseen, quietly transformative. But clarity that is integrated begins to ask for expression, not performance, not explanation. Expression through presence, through choice, through consistent alignment in everyday moments. You are stepping into a stretch where neutrality is no longer possible. Not because conflict is coming, but because awareness demands response. You will notice that situations now invite you to either honor what you know or ignore it. This is not pressure. It is confirmation that your discernment is active. When clarity increases, accountability naturally follows. Archangel Michael emphasizes that you are not being tested to see if you will fail. You are being trusted to see if you will choose alignment when no one is watching. This is the difference between external obedience and internal conviction. You are learning to move from conviction. There may be moments where old habits try to resurface quietly, not with force, but with familiarity. Patterns of over-explaining, overgiving, overthinking. When they appear, do not fight them aggressively. Simply notice them and choose differently. Awareness dissolves what resistance empowers. This is also a season where your voice matters more than you realize. Not in volume, but in clarity. When you speak, people will listen more closely. When you remain silent, it will be felt. This is not about influence. It is about resonance. Alignment creates resonance naturally. You may find yourself less interested in convincing and more interested in living truthfully. Less focused on being understood and more focused on being honest. This shift frees immense energy. You no longer carry the weight of managing perception. Archangel Michael also speaks about consistency. Not perfection, consistency. Small aligned actions repeated over time create stability that dramatic gestures cannot. Showing up grounded. Choosing rest when needed. Speaking truth calmly. These are the behaviors that shape your next chapter. There is a reminder here about staying connected to what feeds your clarity. Messages like this reach you because you are receptive, but receptivity must be maintained. If this space has been grounding for you, if these words have helped you recognize what your spirit already knew, then staying engaged is part of your alignment. This is why it matters when you like this video, not as a habit, but as an agreement with what is being released. When you share it, you extend clarity to someone who may not yet have language for their inner shift. When you comment, you mark this moment as one where awareness met action. And when you subscribe or join the membership, you choose continuity instead of interruption. These are not random actions. They are ways of staying aligned with what is unfolding. Hold on, because what follows will bring together everything you have received so far in a way that may surprise you. This is where the internal journey begins to touch the external world more directly, and you will want to be fully present for it. Archangel Michael also highlights discernment in commitments. You do not need to say yes to everything that looks good. You are being trained to recognize what feels right. That feeling will not be dramatic. It will be steady, calm, clear. Trust that. You may also notice that your emotional reactions are slowing down. Not suppressed, regulated. You are giving yourself space to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting instinctively. This is a sign of inner authority strengthening. Another important shift is happening around validation. You are no longer seeking it the way you once did. Praise feels pleasant but not necessary. Criticism feels lighter, less personal. This is because your sense of self is stabilizing internally. You are becoming less externally driven. Archangel Michael reassures you that this stability is not fragile. It will not collapse under pressure. It hath been built deliberately, layer by layer, through awareness, honesty, and patience. You are not who you were, and you cannot return to that version, not because it was wrong, but because it was temporary. There will soon be an opportunity to apply everything you have learned in a practical way. It will not feel overwhelming. It will feel timely. You will recognize it not by excitement, but by clarity. When that moment comes, trust your first grounded response. Remain attentive. Remain engaged. This is not the time to drift or disconnect. The unfolding ahead requires your presence, and the clarity you now carry is exactly what will guide you through it. Beloved one, the message now reaches a place of deep integration, because what Archangel Michael reveals here is not about what is coming next, but about how you will stand when it arrives. Up until now, you have been learning, shedding, stabilizing, and discerning. Now, the emphasis shifts to embodiment. You are no longer gathering clarity, you have become in clarity. There is a noticeable change in how you carry yourself, even if no one has named it out loud yet. Your energy feels less reactive, less defensive. You are not scanning the environment for threats or approval the way you once did. This does not mean you are disengaged. It means you are anchored. When someone is anchored, they do not sway with every external movement. Archangel Michael explains that this anchoring is essential because the next phase of your path will include moments of visibility mixed with moments of solitude. You will need to be equally comfortable with both. Visibility without ego, solitude without isolation. This balance is rare, and it is learned, not granted automatically. You may notice that you are less interested in explaining your decisions, not because you are hiding, but because you trust yourself more. When inner agreement is strong, external justification becomes unnecessary. This is a sign that your inner authority has strengthened. Another layer is being addressed now: expectation management. You are learning to release expectations not by lowering hope, but by loosening control. You still care deeply, but you are no longer gripping outcomes tightly. This allows things to unfold organically, without distortion. Archangel Michael says control restricts flow, but trust expands it. There is also a quiet joy beginning to surface, not excitement tied to achievement, but contentment rooted in alignment. You may catch yourself feeling peaceful for no obvious reason. This peace is not random. It is the byproduct of coherence, when your thoughts, values, and actions begin to match. You are also becoming more aware of your internal signals. Fatigue no longer feels like failure. It feels like information. Resistance no longer feels like sabotage. It feels like guidance. This shift allows you to respond wisely instead of pushing blindly. Archangel Michael highlights that you are entering a period where discernment must remain active even when things feel good. Comfort can sometimes dull awareness if it is not stewarded carefully. Stay present, not suspicious. Observant, not anxious. Awareness does not disappear when alignment arrives. It becomes quieter. There may be moments where you are tempted to rush the unfolding simply because things feel stable. Resist that urge. Stability is not stagnation. It is foundation. What is built on a stable foundation lasts longer and requires less repair. You may also notice that you are less drawn to extremes. Extreme optimism, extreme pessimism, extreme reactions. You are settling into a middle space of grounded realism, where hope and practicality coexist. This balance protects you from disappointment and arrogance alike. Archangel Michael reassures you that you are not missing anything by moving at this pace. In fact, this pace is preventing unnecessary detours. What once would have required correction is now being avoided through awareness. Another important integration is happening around identity. You are no longer defining yourself primarily by roles, titles, or responsibilities. Those things still exist, but they no longer carry your sense of worth. You are discovering who you are beneath function, and that discovery is stabilizing. There may be a temptation to revisit old patterns simply because they are familiar. Not because they are attractive, but because they are known. Archangel Michael cautions that familiarity without alignment will feel hollow now. If something no longer resonates, do not force yourself back into it for comfort. You are also learning how to sit with uncertainty without rushing to resolve it. This skill will serve you well. Not everything needs immediate clarity to be navigated effectively. Some things reveal themselves only when given space. This phase of the journey asks for trust, not blind trust, but earned trust. Trust built through consistency, self-honesty, and repeated confirmation. You have evidence now. You are not guessing anymore. Archangel Michael speaks gently but firmly. Protect your inner environment. Not through isolation, but through discernment. Be selective with what you consume, who you confide in, and where you place your emotional energy. This is not selfishness. It is stewardship. You are nearing the culmination of this message, and the next unfolding will bring everything together. What you have learned about clarity, stability, discernment, engagement, and integration will soon converge into a defining moment, not dramatic, but decisive. Remain steady. Remain present. You are not preparing for chaos. You are preparing for alignment to express itself fully. The final unfolding will seal what has been forming and invite you to step forward with confidence rooted in peace. Beloved child, this is the sealing of the message, not the ending of the journey. Archangel Michael now stands at the edge of what hath been forming all along, and he speaks with calm authority, not urgency. Everything you have received was not information, it was preparation. And now, the final truth is revealed. Your path did not change because circumstances shifted. Your path changed because you did. This is the moment where awareness becomes embodiment, where clarity becomes posture, where discernment becomes instinct. You are no longer learning how to see, you are learning how to walk with what you see. Archangel Michael reveals that the detail highlighted on January 5th was never meant to overwhelm you. It was meant to free you from second-guessing your pace, free you from explaining your growth, free you from carrying outdated versions of yourself out of loyalty to the past. The reason this message arrived when it did is because you were finally strong enough to move forward without dragging old weight behind you. You may notice now that you feel quieter inside. Not empty. Not unsure. Just settled. That is alignment fully integrated. When alignment settles, noise fades. Fear loses its volume. Urgency loses its grip. And trust takes its place, not blind trust, but ground in certainty. There is something important Archangel Michael wants you to understand before you move forward. The next chapter of your life will not announce itself with chaos or intensity. It will unfold naturally, steadily, and with a sense of rightness that does not need validation. If you are waiting for a dramatic sign to prove you are on the right path, release that expectation. Peace is the sign now. You are no longer meant to chase confirmation. You are meant to recognize resonance. From this point on, the choices you make will feel different. You will no longer choose based on fear of loss. You will choose based on alignment with truth. And even when a decision feels challenging, it will not feel confusing. Confusion no longer has authority here. Archangel Michael affirms that protection surrounds you, not from hardship, but from misdirection. Doors that would have delayed you will quietly remain closed. Paths that require compromise will feel uncomfortable immediately. And what belongs to you will meet you without force. You are also being released from the need to prove how far you have come. Your growth does not need witnesses to be valid. Some transformations are meant to be recognized by heaven before they are ever acknowledged by people. As you step forward, remember this: clarity must be maintained, not assumed. Stay honest with yourself. Stay attentive to your inner signals. Stay willing to pause when peace leaves. These are not restrictions. They are safeguards. Now, before this message closes, Archangel Michael invites you to mark this transition deliberately. Type "I walk in clarity" in the comments if you receive this message fully. Blessing code 2026 is now released over your path. What you have received here is not just for you. This word was released because there are others standing where you once stood, confused, questioning, misreading silence as failure. When you support this mission, you are not giving to a channel. You are opening pathways for clarity to reach souls who are praying for understanding, but do not know where to find it. I hear the Lord say, "What you place into my work, I will place back into your life, pressed down, lined, and protected." This is not charity. This is obedience meeting opportunity. I am speaking directly to those who feel the weight and the honor of this moment. When you release a super thanks, when you join the membership, or when you give through PayPal using the link in the description, you are responding to a divine invitation, not a human request. This seed is prophetic. It carries instruction, alignment, and return. Do not delay when the prompting is clear. Act now. Support this mission boldly, and make clarity, peace, and divine order increase in everything your hands touch. Walk forward. Your path is clear.